Oh, right. Today's third review is going to be of Eternals. Now that I've given my voice a little bit of a break after the first two reviews, I can record this one. So I gave this movie an 8 out of 10. I thought it was definitely unique and kind of off the beaten path of what we've seen from Marvel over the last few years, I guess, because this movie came out in what? Oh my god, I can't even remember. But yeah, I remember going to theaters and actually like enjoying it because it was just so like a different story, like one we never really seen before or heard about. So at least for me, it was like a brand new story. So I was happy to see something different, because we just gotten kind of like so caught up in all of the other characters like Iron Man and like just the phases. And I know Marvel will probably never die. Like it will be around, like this Marvel universe will be around for years after even I'm gone, I am sure. With obviously like new actors coming in all the time to take people's spots that were there before and so on and so forth. Like it'll just be one that goes on for a very long time. But yeah, and I think maybe I'm getting to the point now where I'm going to be very picky about what Marvel movies I go to see. Now, the new Spider-Man, it was good, and I'll be doing a review of it as well. But yeah, just again, like I said, wasn't really a fan of the Thunderbolts one. I think I said that in one of my other reviews, or maybe I haven't. But yeah, like the new Fantastic Four was good, but just it just wasn't quite uh, as good as the new Spider-Man movie. But yeah, we'll talk about that more obviously. But so we'll go over the cast list for this movie. So Gemma Chan as Cersei, Richard Madden as Icarus, Angelina Jolie as Athena, Selma Hayek as Ajak, Kit Harington as Dane Whitman, Kumal Nanjiani, Kumal Nanjiani as Kingo, uh, Leah McHugh as Sprite, Brian Tyree Henry as Fastos, Lauren Ridolph as Makari, Barry Keoghan as Druig, Ma Dong Siak as Gilgamesh, Harry Styles as Eros, Patton Oswalt as Pip the Troll, and Bill Skarsgård as Crow, who was like I guess you could almost call him like the main villain in this movie because he was like one of the deviants. So yeah, but we'll get into that. So at the very beginning of this movie, because a story like this has never really been told before, they do like tell you in great detail what what is going on basically and what the deviants and all of these creatures are, so that you can kind of get an idea as to who these people are. Because I don't really know if there's like any other, like, is there any comics for the Eternals or stuff? Like I guess we just been so caught up in like the main story that this was just so off track for what I thought we would ever get from a Marvel movie. So in the beginning, before the six singularities and the dawn of creation, came the Celestials. Erisham, the prime celestial, created the first sun and brought light into the universe. Life began and thrived. All was in balance. Until an unnatural species of predator changed. Uh, oh, sorry. Emerged from dead space to feed on intelligent life. They were known as deviants. The universe was plunged into chaos. To restore the natural order, Erisham sent Eternals, immortal heroes from the planet Olympia, to eliminate the deviants. Eternals had unyielding faith in Erisham until one mission led by Prime Eternal Ajak changed everything. So that is basically kind of like a little explanation into the story, I guess. So then we go to 5000 BC in Mesopotamia, where the Eternals are able to defeat the deviants that were plaguing a small village. So, kind of, I guess, like they're like a rival and first encounter with any creature like that. So they don't really know what they're dealing with. They just know that those are supposed to be their enemies, right? And they're supposed to take them out. So that is what they do. So then we go to present day London. And can I just say the opening song for this movie, you knew it was just going to be a good soundtrack. And I think I probably said that for the last few reviews, but yeah, just these movies, the last few movies that have been, and I will probably say it for a couple of the other Marvel movies too, that the soundtracks are just so fitting, even if they weren't Marvel movies. Yeah, obviously that I've done in the past that I've said that for, but yeah, yeah, the last few movie reviews that I've done, I know I've said that. So some of the Eternals, I guess, seem to have like adapted to a normal way of living, and it seems that the Deviants have reached London. So we kind of get like we kind of get the idea that the Deviants are still around, so that's why the Eternals are needed. But then as we go on, we can see that they have already apparently defeated the Deviants, and the Deviants are somehow making some sort of comeback. Or, yeah, they've just been hidden, and now they seem to be, making some sort of push again. So a Deviant ends up attacking Cersei, Sprite, and Dane. It appears to be smarter now, and have some sort of healing abilities that it never had before, I guess. So Icarus ends up coming in to save the day and chasing the Deviant away. Even though he isn't able to completely defeat it, he is able to, I guess, hurt it enough to make it run away. So, yeah, and we kind of get I guess we kind of get the idea there now that Icarus is probably the strongest out of all the Eternals. That's kind of what I'm gathering anyway. And they do say that, but I don't really know if he was necessarily. I think everybody was just a little bit scared of him because he had kind of become the leader, I guess, after they had all kind of split up. And they followed Ajax for so long, and now they were following in his footsteps. So I think they just kind of created like a vision of him in their heads, and they decided that he was stronger than all of them, even though they're all supposed to be like immortal beings. And yeah, it was just very weird they would hold him on that high of a pedestal. So Cersei, of course, then has to explain to Dane that they arrived on Earth 7,000 years ago on their ship, the Domo, to protect the world from deviants. And apparently they aren't allowed to interfere in any other world issues unless deviants are somehow involved. So like when Thanos was around, they weren't allowed to get involved in that. Like any of the like Avengers stuff, they're not allowed to get involved in. Any other like Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, they're not allowed to get involved in. So yeah, if there's no deviants involved, they have nothing to do with it, and they kind of have to just go along with the natural world order. And I guess they were also sent there to kind of like push humanity along to obviously further intelligent life, right? So then we go back to 575 BC in Babylon, where Ajax makes contact with Arishem and is told not to get attached to Earth and focus on her mission. So I guess maybe there was obviously a little bit more to what the mission actually was than was being told in the beginning, right? So then Icarus claims his love for Cersei when they're in Babylon, and then we go to 400 AD in the Gupta Empire. I think it was Gupta, right? Yeah. So Icarus and Cersei get married there, and then we go back to present-day South Dakota, where Icarus, Cersei, and Sprite go to visit Ajax to find that she is dead. Icarus says that she was killed by a deviant, but I don't know how they would know that, other than maybe the fact that he's just kind of putting two and two together, and the deviant that ended up attacking them in London, he thinks maybe got to Ajax first. So Sprite believes that the deviant was able to actually absorb Ajax's powers, which is crazy, and that would have maybe been what gave it its healing factor, and also like the ability to be a little bit smarter and look through, obviously, Sprite and Cersei's abilities, right? Because she's able to like copy her and Cersei and like almost make like clones of them, but somehow the deviant was able to pinpoint exactly where the two of them were through that. Cersei is able to speak with Arishem for a brief second after the device leaves Ajax's body and goes into her. So I guess Ajax chose her as like the next Prime Eternal, essentially, is what I was gathering from that. And of course, Sprite kind of pulls her out of being able to talk to Erisham, and she doesn't know how to like just move in and out of that zone herself. So she's going to have to find some way in order to contact Erisham, or I guess maybe Erisham will contact her when he needs her the most. So yeah, now Cersei has been chosen as the new Prime Eternal, and the Sphere is now with her. So we go back to 1521 AD in Tenuk Hatitlan. Oh my god, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It now seems the Eternals have nearly taken care of all the deviants, but now the war between the people, or humans, has broken out. So, again, I guess they're not supposed to get involved in like any human wars or anything, but Fastos is obviously always creating like new devices for them. Now, he does kind of push in the beginning to make it way more advanced than what they're supposed to be ready for, so he has to pull back a little bit sometimes. But yeah, he definitely is there to help them along as well. Now, I wonder what would have happened if, he hadn't helped at all. Would humans have ever like evolved? Now, obviously yes, because we're constantly evolving, right? But I think it probably would have slowed it down maybe a little bit if Fastos hadn't have maybe had a hand to play in it. I don't really know. I guess we'll never know, because that's just the way this movie goes. So, Athena, unfortunately, after so many years of just constant battles and so on and so forth, ends up experiencing Mad Weary. Her mind is kind of broken now after seeing so much conflict. I guess it just all kind of compiled into one, and then she kind of just loses her mind a little bit, and unfortunately she doesn't want to have her memory wiped and lose any of her memories, so Gilgamesh decides that he is going to take care of her. But this is so, of course, after this, Druig begins to question Ajax after following for so long, wondering if they are actually truly helping when he is able to, control everybody, and if he was able to control everybody, he'd be able to stop all conflict, sort of thing, right? And he kind of feels bad for not being able to get involved, but again, you're not letting the natural order of things go if you're just controlling everybody either, right? Then you're kind of like your own entity, and everybody just kind of would worship you, and eventually I feel like there would be conflict anyway, because you'd probably have some people who eventually would get sick of it and try to have like an uprising. So again, yeah, there's no real good way to go about it, right? You kind of just have to let some things go and let them work themselves out, but he didn't really want to do that. So Gilgamesh says that he will take care of Athena so that she is able to keep her memories. And then eventually Ajax just says, you guys are free to go now. You've completed your mission. All of the deviants are gone. Go live your life. Find your own purpose, sort of thing. So then we go to the present day in Mumbai, where we meet Kingo, who has become a well-known actor. Icarus, Cersei, and Sprite pass the news on to him, obviously, that Ajax is dead. And then we go to Australia, where the group travels to pass the news on to Gilgamesh and Athena. And Athena isn't doing very well, I guess, based on, hearing about this, right? So Cersei is able to contact Erisham again. He tells her what is happening to Earth is a side effect of the emergence. So now we're kind of getting like the full story as to why the Eternals are truly there. So the real reason for their mission was to bring forth the celestial Tiamat. Every 1 billion years, new Celestials must be born, and Earth was chosen to host the celestial Tiamat. To grow, Tiamat needed vast amounts of energy, and the deviants were stopping this by killing the humans or intelligent life, as Erisham says. So now Tiamat has enough energy, thanks to, obviously the Eternals coming in and stopping the deviants and allowing, the humans to continue on to, like, procreate and so on and so forth. And now there's enough people on Earth that Tiamat can have enough energy to do the emergence. Can begin, and Earth, unfortunately, the side effect of this is that Earth will be destroyed. But I guess the Celestials use planets to create new suns, generating gravity, heat, and light for new galaxies to form. So I guess they kind of look at it as like a necessary sacrifice to continue life on, because eventually one galaxy could destroy itself, and then, kind of all human life or any life could be lost forever, right? So I guess this is kind of like a necessary sacrifice, right? Like you're destroying one planet to like create a new galaxy in order to create new life. It's a weird way to look at it, but it's kind of a cool concept. So Erisham then even hits Cersei with some more information and tells her that the place they used to call, or they thought they called home, Olympia, actually isn't real. And that her true home is the World Forge, where Erisham had built and programmed the Eternals. Now, the Eternals' memories are erased after each emergence and then stored to study. Now, the Deviants, which Erisham also created, he had sent to remove any, all predators from Earth so intelligent life could grow. But eventually lost control of the Deviants as they evolved into predators themselves, right? So, yeah, like it kind of again shows that like even the Deviants kind of evolved over time, and then eventually Erisham just couldn't control them anymore, so he ended up having to create the Eternals in order to combat that. And yeah, it's just a huge mess, right? That Erisham has created. And I feel like now he's just speeding up this emergence thing so that he can move on and maybe try to do a little bit better in the next galaxy that he ends up creating. It's, yeah, kind of interesting. So Cersei says they must delay the emergence and go to collect the last of the group. So they go to the Amazon to meet with Druig, and Druig doesn't want any part of the fight, obviously, after being told the truth. And I can kind of understand why. Like, his whole life has kind of been basically one big lie, so why would he want to defend anything that's been a lie, right? Now, Kingo knows that Sprite is also in love with Icarus. I guess he kind of discovered this a while ago and brings it up while they are there with Druig. And I guess she kind of has an issue, obviously, she's stuck as a kid, right? Like, she's kind of questioning why Erisham has made her this way. And I guess they'll never really know, right? But she's not going to have a real opportunity to ever grow up if she's stuck being eternal and immortal, right? She'll always be the same age. And I think a lot of them have that issue, right? Because they're always trying to find new ways of, like, how can I explain that I'm not aging, right? And I mean, I guess Kingo kind of found a way around it with the acting thing, but a lot of them aren't going to be able to pull that off, right? So a group of deviants ambush the Eternals. Cersei is actually able to turn one of the deviants into organic life, so she actually changes one of the deviants into a tree. Now, she doesn't know how she does this, but I believe that obviously some of the powers from Ajak were passed on to her, so she's a little stronger now and doesn't really realize her actual true powers anymore. Now, one of the deviants is able to drain power from Gilgamesh and evolve even further to the point where he can actually talk. So that was kind of crazy. I guess in that whole thing, he kind of vows to take revenge for what the Eternals have done to them over the years, obviously, because I guess the deviants were there and just kind of wanted to, live in peace, but they couldn't really vocalize that until this point. So yeah, I guess he kind of feels like both of them are just kind of prisoners to Erisham, obviously, and they've just kind of been fighting one another, but they don't really know why, right? They don't really know the true meaning behind why they've fought one another. Now they're going to get Phastos, but Druig kind of says, good luck with that, because Phastos has given up on all human life at this point. And then we go back to August 1945 in Hiroshima, where Fastos can be seen blaming himself for helping humans advance, uh, saying none of this would have happened without him. So he kind of blames himself for obviously some of the technological advances that have happened, but also I guess he doesn't believe that, with slowly helping them advance, that what they have done to one another is, uh, worthy of any more help, right? Like he kind of thinks they're like beyond hope at this point. So then we go back to present day Chicago, where Fastos has a family now. He is reluctant to leave until his husband tells him it's for their son's future. So obviously, he has a husband, he has a son now, so he's going to be anything he does now is going to be to protect them, right? So he's reluctant to go, but his husband wants him to go because he knows that if he doesn't, there's a pretty good chance that they may end up not being around anymore, even including him, right? Uh, so then we go to Iraq, where Fastos summons the Domo, which I guess has been the home for Makaris for this entire time, which is interesting. So that's where she's been this entire time. So Fastos creates bracelets to bond all of them together to create a Unimind, or at least that was his idea, right? So we go to, and then eventually we find out actually the real reason why Ajax has died. So we go to 6 days ago in South Dakota, where we find out that Icarus actually had known about the emergence. So I guess it was only the two of them, just Ajax and him. Now, Ajax says she wants to stop the emergence, kind of like the rest of them have said. So he ends up taking her to Alaska and showing her all of the deviants that have come to life and feeds her to them. So he killed him because he killed her because he didn't want to. He thought maybe if the rest of the group was distracted with Ajax's death, that would give Tiamat enough time to do the emergence, and they would just move on because he is still very loyal to Irisham, I guess. And now that she's going off the beaten path and questioning it, he doesn't want any part of her anymore. So he decides that the best way to deal with it is to just let her die, I guess, which is kind of crazy. So Icarus then admits to killing Ajax and chooses to take Irisham's side, which is wild to me because, you're destroying a place you protected for so long. Why all of a sudden does it need to be destroyed? So Sprite chooses to go with him, obviously, because she loves him. Now, Fastos tells Cersei that he believes the Saphir that is within her, like the one that she uses to talk to Erisham, can be used to create a link between them, forming the Unimind. So that is the only device he believes is strong enough to create this Unimind now. Now, Sprite ends up obviously taking the side of Icarus, and she ends up stabbing Cersei and then copies the volcano, but Droog is able to stop that from going any further. Now, at the same time, Thena is fighting with a deviant, but her mind breaks again, and it pretends to be Gilgamesh, and begins taking her powers, but she is somehow able to snap out of it and kill the deviant. I'm not exactly sure how she did that, but maybe she knew that it wasn't really Gilgamesh talking to her, or maybe it was enough to make her finally, realize that she could remember everything and didn't really need to be so hard on herself, I guess, maybe. And just kind of, all of a sudden she's like, you know what? My mind isn't really breaking. I think I'm just putting a lot of pressure on myself. And maybe that was enough to kind of break whatever was happening to her. It was very, very strange. But yeah, they are able to pretty much almost take down Icarus together, all of them, which is crazy because yeah, I think they had like an unhealthy amount of fear towards Icarus, which isn't good, but that's just my thought anyhow. So eventually Cersei is able to conjure enough power to begin freezing Tiamat. Of course, Icarus is able to escape eventually from being tied down, or whatever they were doing to him, being held down, I guess you could call it. He does stop fighting, and I guess maybe it was because his love for Cersei was stronger than his hate for the fact of, stopping Tiamat. You know what I mean? Like, I think he finally, kind of came to regret some of his past decisions a little bit and just said, I think it's time for me to join this group and put one final effort into being the good guy and not turn to the, dark side or the evil side sort of thing. Um, so Icarus actually just sacrifices himself and ends up flying into the sun so he can't do any more harm. I guess he thought maybe that was the only way that he wasn't maybe going to turn again. Kind of, I guess, kind of a self-sacrifice. So he ends up becoming a little selfless in the end, but I think it might have been almost too little too late because he'd done so much damage inside the group that, there was no way to really redeem himself 100%. So Sprite decides to give up her powers to and go to live a normal life. So she is going to be human now and live out a normal life, and eventually one day she will die. But she's so sick of being a child at this point that she wants to, grow up and finally be with somebody eventually. You know what I mean? Like, I can only imagine how hard that would be being a kid for that amount of time and, having feelings for somebody, but not being able to do anything about it, right? Because the age gap would just be wrong to make a move, right? So 2 weeks later, we go to South Dakota, where Dane begins to open up about his family's history, but Arishem shows up and takes Cersei away. There was a little bit more to that, obviously, when they were in South Dakota, but Arishem then says he will allow the people of Earth to live, but he will go through the Eternals' memories and return for judgment. So, yeah, most of them leave to go find other Eternals on other planets, and I believe that it was just Phastos that stayed behind, actually, because I believe that... Now, I guess maybe Kingo and Cersei also stayed behind, and I guess Sprite, obviously, because she's going to go live a human life. But other than that, I think all of them ended up leaving. Like, Thena left, Druig left, and who else left there with them? Makari left as well. So yeah, there isn't many of them left on Earth. Now, when they're searching for other Eternals, Thanos' brother ends up teleporting onto the Domo after weeks of hearing nothing. So Eros and Pip end up on the Domo, and of course they say that I guess some of their friends are in trouble and they know where to find them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to like an Eternals 2. I don't know whether we're gonna get it or whether we're just gonna get I'm not sure where that story is going to go. Like, I haven't heard anything new about it since this movie. So yeah, it kind of seems like it might be a one-off movie, but I guess maybe we'll see. Maybe there'll be some more in the Doomsday movie later on this year. But again, the Eternals aren't supposed to get involved in any other affairs unless it involves deviants. So there's going to be deviants, possibly. There's so much multiverse stuff that could happen in that movie. It's just interesting to see. So Dane opens a family box with a sword that calls to him, and written on the inside of the box is "Death is my reward." Now, when he reaches for the sword, a voice asks if he is ready for that. Now, I'm assuming from the speculation, probably the voice was supposed to be of the new Blade character. That's just the voice that at least I hear. Now, again, I'm not sure. I guess we'll never know now because this Blade show has just been canceled, I do believe. So yeah, I guess there really only is going to be truly one Blade ever that we get in Marvel, and that will be Wesley Snipes. Which is all right with me because those Blade movies were so good. But yeah, I guess that's the only Blade we're ever going to get. Now, I think I've explained the best I can, but there was so much information coming at you so fast in this movie. Um, so yeah, but again, soundtrack phenomenal. The visuals were actually really good in this movie. Like, didn't seem too sloppy, like CGI'd. And I feel like this might be one of the last ones that kind of feels like that, because some of the Marvel movies, like I've watched a lot of stuff on them, and they go back in and like retouch up stuff with like a lot of VFX and stuff. So I don't know why they do that when some of it was used, like some of it was practical effects, and they went back in and changed it in like post. It just seems so weird. But anyhow, yeah, this was like a visually stunning movie as far as that goes. Didn't seem too like over the top with CGI and stuff. Now, obviously, they did use CGI for the creatures, but I feel like they did a lot of practical stuff with some of the deviants that ended up being like a little bit more human in the end too. So, yeah, definitely, I would say this was, if you've never seen like a Marvel movie, this honestly wouldn't be a bad one to start off with, because I feel like it's one of those ones that just so far off the beaten path of what we normally expect from a Marvel movie that this would be a good one to start with. Anyway, I'll stop rambling, and I will see you guys in the next review. Bye bye for now.